Hi, I'm Candice.
I'm John.
And this is Comicsplaining.
The one where we endorse turning politicians into goo.
Indeed we do, as we were just watching the first X-Men film, in which Senator Kelly gets turned into goo.
Which is appropriate. It is the right thing to do.
It's always morally correct.
Yes. Turning senators into goo is always morally correct. Always.
Always?
Always. You might hear Ripley in the background. They are not joining us for recording because they are sick.
So, wait, but if they're not joining us, what are we recording?
The show.
Dun dun dun.
Thor. We're reading Thor.
Thor? But
Yeah.
I don't remember what happened in Thor!
That's okay, John, because if I were a sadist, I might ask you what happened last time on Thor.
Well, we talked about this, and it had something to do with God batteries.
Yeah, but I'm not a sadist. And more importantly, I would like to be coherent for the listeners, so I'm just gonna tell you.
Gasp.
In the last issue, Thor and his friends had just returned from saving Odin from the sole survivors at the Doom Death Black Doom Star. They sent Odin off to his room because he was already passed out like a dad going into a turkey coma at halftime. Which is a timely reference, as we're recording this right before Thanksgiving.
Aha!
At that point, Thor decided to go check on his good friend Balder, who he left in charge, and who definitely would never fail to protect the realm eternal, even if the Enchantress and Executioner had attacked with an army of animated armor at the behest of Loki in order to take the throne while Thor and Odin were gone.
Wait. This is not the first time Loki has had an army invade something
No.
that he's also not obviously being the leader of.
No.
God damn it, we're repeating.
It's Thor. Welcome back to Thor. Everyone was shocked to find the trickster had done that for, I think, like, the 6th time.
Yeah?
I would have to go back through all the other issues to actually confirm how many times this has happened.
Remember the time he invaded Washington, D.C.?
Yes. I feel like we are at least up to half a dozen. Not only did Loki have Amora and Scourge, but also a few other goobers, including Crota, Magrat, and Snakeheart.
Who are some of those people?
These guys are kind of like the evil mirror dimension version of the Warriors 3.
Wow.
The Scoundrels 3. Anyway, they all gathered around to read Dad's will, which said that the child who managed to put his butt on the throne first would be in charge while he was indisposed.
You know, to be fair, Odin would do that.
This feels in character for Odin, but we did learn that Loki forged this document, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, but Odin would do that.
He would. I'm not disagreeing.
That's the only reason why Loki's forgery is able to get away with that bullshit.
Honestly, I'm more surprised that Loki had to forge that. That it wasn't that already.
Loki goes to forge it, sees, anyone who sits in my chair shall become my successor, and then goes, oh.
Well, that takes care of that neatly.
I was gonna put effort into this, never mind.
Of course, not being the brightest bulb in the box, Thor did not question this at all, and instead went to mope outside.
Well, I mean, he knows his dad.
He does. He decided, ultimately, that he and Sif would go to the Norn Queen's realm to ask Balder what the fuck is going on. Because when they asked about Balder, Loki told them that he went to be with Carnilla.
Cowardly.
Yeah.
What? Balder the coward? Never!
And the Warriors 3 stayed to protect the Allfather. Oh, and the recorder is also still here?
Oh yeah, the recorder is here. He's getting tons of views. You gotta know it.
Yes, he's going viral. So they fought some giants, then they talked to Carnilla, who said that Balder wasn't with her, and she hadn't heard from him. They all found that to be suspicious, so they turned around and headed back. Meanwhile, the lads discovered that some nefarious fiends had kidnapped the sleeping Odin. They set off into the undercroft of the palace to track down the Enchantress and Executioner, before they could dump the old man into a furnace. By a shocking twist of events, it was the two villains who got tossed into a furnace, never to be seen again.
Never, you say?
Never. Unfortunately, this all happened only after they had managed to stash the old man away somewhere. Also, Baldur was in the dungeon this whole time, but some guys came to take him somewhere else just as Thor arrived in the throne room for another confrontation.
Incredible.
He demanded answers from Loki and got them in the form of the Destroyer busting through the door.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where we left off. It's so predictable that you're going to do that joke every time.
It's a good joke.
We're going to read Thor number 265 from August of 1977, written by Len Wein, penciled by Walt Simonson, inked by Joe Sinnott, colored by Glynis Wein, lettered by Joe Rosen, with the cover also by Walt and Joe.
Well, let's see how much effort Walt put into this.
The Destroyer bursts in through the door, shattering it to pieces with its powerful hands.
Hey, Destroyer, that was a door. You could have just opened the door. You didn't have to destroy the door.
That's his job. He's the Destroyer. What do you want from him?
Okay, then he gets an oh yeah for his effort.
Every time.
Every time.
Thor has only a moment to note its arrival before his attention is demanded by Loki once again. The trickster has teleported out of the room just before the Destroyer arrived, but they now create a tiny projection of themselves to explain how the armored weapon got here. Villains pausing at weird moments to explain things to the audience is such a Silver Age trope, and it is always funny to me.
Yeah, are you sure you have time for this?
Could there have been a better way to give this information? Yes, absolutely. But we here in 1977 know that it's called storytelling, not story showing.
God, it's 1977.
If you dig deep in your memory, you may recall that Thor and Hercules gave the Destroyer to Galactus to free Firelord from his dead-end job.
Oh yeah, because Galactus needed an even more head-empty Herald than he already had, and which is kind of a difficult task when your Herald is Firelord.
This was a good choice that we all loved and respected.
Yes. We definitely understood how the Destroyer could be Galactus's Herald, seeing as Galactus is just a thing that sometimes has a soul in it and usually doesn't.
The Destroyer, yeah. Well, I gathered Galactus was using the power cosmic to, power it,
That
basically.
makes some sense, but then it seems like Galactus kind of wants a little bit of a personality. Just enough to, follow orders.
Yeah,
and
so...
that seems like it needs a soul
We're gonna...
when it needs a soul, because we're never consistent about how the Destroyer works.
No, they've been pretty consistent about the Destroyer, yeah.
Huh.
The only time that it has ever been able to be powered by something other than having a soul inside of it is when it was Galactus's Herald. And my presumption is that the power cosmic is just powerful enough to override that.
I mean, he is Galactus. If anyone can cheat...
It's literally the power cosmic.
Yes. If anyone can cheat, it's Galactus. He eats planets.
So, as Loki was hatching this current scheme, they decided that they would need the Asgardian superweapon. They looked around through space until they found the World Eater in Fantastic Four number 172 through 175.
What?
Apparently he was trying to yummy down on Counter-Earth, but the FF and the High Evolutionary did not want him to do that.
But that would solve so many problems!
As the fight happened, I guess the Destroyer was just, laying around, because Loki says they were able to steal it without anyone noticing. So it feels like maybe Gal wasn't super in love with his new Herald.
I feel like Galactus is going to notice that eventually. He's going to be like, where's my Herald?
Yeah, but also, it's conspicuous that he was fighting the Fantastic Four, but just left his Herald laying around.
Herald broke?
I don't know. I think what you were saying before is true, though. He doesn't have any personality.
He needs someone to boss around.
He needs someone to talk to. He's lonely.
But he's not a people person at all?
Yeah.
which leads to
He's a people-eating person.
Which leads to a very one-sided relationship with his heralds. Right. Especially since he kind of tries to override their personalities with his powers.
Well, that's why Fire Lord worked so well for him.
Because there wasn't anything to override.
It was a blank slate.
If anything,
but not as blank as the Destroyer.
If anything, it gave Fire Lord more of a personality.
Yeah. So that's the explanation, and no further details will be given. Now sitting in comfort and safety, a grinning Loki lifts their stein with glee as they mock some shadowy figure in the background. Returning to the throne room, our two combatants meet with a clash of metal on metal. The Destroyer briefly gets the upper hand by knocking Thor flat on his back, but the God of Thunder is not to be outdone. He returns with a furious blow, sending the Destroyer straight through the wall with a massive shrack-a-boom.
Shrack-a-boom!
Shrack-a-boom! The fight continues with our hero delivering several more heavy blows as he wonders aloud who might be piloting the Destroyer, though he does acknowledge that it doesn't really matter. Unless he can find the person whose soul is propelling the machine, it really has no bearing on the fight itself.
That's true, I guess. I guess someone realized that this thing needs to be piloted.
They clash with such ferocity that the room itself begins to shake and crumble, sending them through the floor as pillars and statuary come down.
Guys, if you do that enough, you're going to run out of floor.
The reverberations of this fight are felt even as low as the catacombs under the palace, where the Warriors Three are once again, or rather still, searching for the Allfather.
Hey, wait, can the Destroyer fly?
No.
Thor, keep doing that. Eventually you'll run out of ground.
Having defeated the Enchantress and the Executioner, they now search for the King of the Realm, but are having no luck in this endeavor. The trail has gone cold, and in fact, they are kind of just wandering in circles, trying to find anything.
You know what? That's fair.
Yeah.
They've realized they're probably not solving this mystery, and what are they supposed to do? That they've got their honor to keep doing it, but...
Right. They're not exactly equipped for this.
Yeah, they're not sleuths, they're not mystery people. They don't solve mysteries, they beat stuff up.
Although a Scooby-Doo style show with these three would be pretty fantastic, I have to say. Volstagg complains about having to traverse these narrow, dingy tunnels, and while Fandral agrees, he also knows that they need to find Odin before they can really do anything.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It is the problem. As he says this, however, he notices a cascade of dust and small pebbles come down from the ceiling.
That's probably, Thor coming!
And at first he blames Volstagg, of course. But then quickly they all realize that it's a bit more serious, as the floor underneath them shudders and the ceiling above cracks.
Oh no.
Luckily, no one is seriously hurt, and the tunnel itself didn't completely collapse. So they all turn and run back up the stairs to find out what the fuck is happening. Meanwhile, in an undisclosed location...
Loki is watching the big screen.
Loki continues to gloat about the perfection of their newest plot. As they watch the fight on some sort of dome thingy...
It's a television.
It's yet another magic TV. The magic TVs are well documented. It's just... the fact that they look different every time really gets me.
Because they're very disposable and probably break a lot whenever they get hit by things.
True, they are always hitting them.
These guys always hit stuff.
Yeah, well, that's the toxic masculinity.
And then they gotta have the latest and greatest.
Of course. So they're watching the fight, they continue to monologue to the shadowy figure in the background, who does not move or respond. So, as we may recall, as soon as they all realized that something was up because Baldur was not in the place that Loki said he would be, Thor took off to fly home ahead of everyone else, while the rest of his friends rode back on horses, except for Karnilla, who's riding on a dragon?
I guess?
It's kind of a look, whatever this thing is, and, I love it for her. However, I do question why any of them have to do this, because the recorder can fly, Sif can teleport, and Karnilla is a magic sorcery queen who I think can teleport and fly.
The recorder's doing it for the views.
The the views of bouncing up and down on a horse.
Yes. What, do you think people back where he's from see horses and dragon things?
That's true. Whatever. Anyway, they finally arrive outside the gates of the city where we see Brothar and Enoch, the two guards of the gate who have stood there for more years than they can remember.
Good job, guys.
It must not be a very eventful posting because they're both dozing off. And they are awoken by the call of the Norn Queen ordering them to open the gate.
The gate that was at one point besieged by a mysterious army?
Yeah.
Very boring post, that.
They don't want to let her in because she is technically still an enemy of Asgard. And also she's riding a somewhat imposing dragon thingy.
Well, maybe she should pull a Mangog and just go through anyway.
Well, she doesn't really have the time or patience to deal with them, so she turns them into toads.
Which is kinder than what a Mangog does to you.
Yeah. And then all three of our friends scamper on through the gate. The fight, meanwhile, is continuing in a rather explosive manner. While last time we checked in, it seems that he was doing pretty well. Now the tides have turned, and Thor is the one who is getting knocked around and thrown through walls.
Oh, poor fallible stamina.
He is looking tattered, and he's having trouble shrugging it off. He has to deliver himself a motivational monologue to even get to his feet at this point, as the Destroyer approaches to deliver a killing blow according to the narration. But then just at that fateful moment, the mace of Grim Hogan flies out of left stage and clangs off of the impenetrable hide of the monster.
Oh, hey!
I usually criticize him for this move, but in this case I guess it worked out. So the cavalry has arrived.
I'm sure they'll do much better than Thor was doing.
Yeah. The mace didn't really do much other than distract the Destroyer, but that's something.
Well, yeah, when you're going for a killing blow and you get distracted, well, that's something.
You've no longer killed that guy. Next up is Fandral with his flashing blade. And actually the three of them attack together.
Yeah.
But strong as they are, they simply don't stack up against this ultimate weapon of Odin's creation. They cast them aside with a blast of power, and then a single swipe of his massive armored hand sends all three of them flying.
Odin, why do we even have one of these?
He made it to defend Asgard at Ragnarok. All the stupid shit Odin does is because he's afraid of Ragnarok.
Odin!
This is a core aspect of his character.
Odin, you have to accept that Ragnarok is going to happen no matter what you think.
No, it's going to happen because of his action.
That's fair. I was under the impression it was going to happen regardless of his actions, but you know what? He'd probably power it.
The thing about Norse mythology, especially the Ragnarok myth, is it is very much a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh, is this a hubris thing?
Yeah. Well, yeah, kind of.
He thinks he can stop it, but thereby causes it more.
Yes.
In his hubris,
I mean, just
the tools he uses to try to stop it makes it happen.
Yes. I mean, just think about... I mean, I know we haven't touched on it super heavily, but...
I've listened to you enough to learn some things.
Like, okay, so the main thing that he does to prevent Ragnarok is take away Loki's children. Because in the prophecy or the vision that he has, he sees that Jormungandr would kill Thor.
Ew.
Hela, or Hel, depending on your translation, would lead an army of the dead against them. And Fenrir, the wolf, would kill Odin himself.
So is Jormungandr the horse?
No, Jormungandr is the snake.
You can see why I had to ask!
The horse is named Sleipnir.
You can see why I had to ask!
I know!
Loki has a lot of children that aren't human.
Yes. So, after seeing this in this vision, he decided the best thing to do was to kidnap Loki's children, and he banished Hel to Hell.
Mm-hmm.
He threw Jormungandr into the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And It would take me a while to cover what happened with Fenrir. It was extremely fucked, okay?
Oh boy.
But by doing this to these children and to Loki, he created the monsters that would destroy him.
Gave them motive.
Yes.
Rip.
So that's Odin, if you wanted to know.
Asshole.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick.
So every time Marvel makes him an asshole.
Yes, it's very appropriate.
Because he's legendarily an asshole.
I recently watched on Netflix Zack Snyder's Twilight of the Gods.
Yeah?
And I found it to be quite good. He understood the assignment.
Okay.
I would recommend it to anyone who's interested. It is very rated R, however, so just because it's a cartoon doesn't mean you should let your kids watch it.
Huh.
I will just say that the main character gets her pussy ate in the first 5 minutes, so...
Wow.
On screen. So,
okay.
Don't watch it with your kids, but it's very good. Anyway.
Back to the comics!
The comic book.
Hey, Thor's allowed to get his pussy ate.
His thoracy. So, of course, we all know the only thing worse to Thor than himself being beat up is seeing his friends get beat up.
Yes.
He is powered by friendship.
Yes.
So witnessing this gives him a second wind, allowing him to grasp a nearby pillar and send it tumbling down, creating an impromptu barrier between the Destroyer and the Asgardians.
Which will work for about 5 minutes.
Not even.
If that.
His friends move to help him up as he inquires after their mission. Fandral informs him of the Allfather's abduction, and while Thor is grateful for their intervention, he also realizes that the Destroyer can't truly be defeated without Odin. So he bids his friends to once again take up the search as he keeps the enemy busy. They are none too happy to leave him behind in such a sorry state, but there is wisdom to his direction.
Well, yeah, but if he's powered by friendship and the friendship walks away...
After all, the Destroyer is an unstoppable weapon created by Odin and imbued with his power to destroy.
He's very good at it.
He's very good at it. So they retreat for now, leaving the sound of battle behind them. However, before they get very far, their attention is drawn by another group of 3 men lurking in the hallway.
Oh no.
It's the Scoundrels 3, conspiring together in a dark corridor. It seems after the demise of the Enchantress and the Executioner, these losers have lost some measure of faith in Loki's plan.
I mean, fair.
Yeah, fair enough. Loki's failed many times before.
Yeah, how many times?
This pretty much this exact same thing.
How many times has Loki failed this literal same plan?
We covered that earlier.
I know, but this time, these guys have to be thinking... So how many times has Loki failed this particular gambit?
They should have thought about that before they decided to take the job.
Well, hey, Thor wasn't around at the start of this thing.
Yeah, it's easy to get cocky until Thor and Odin come home.
Yes, it is actually. It's very easy. Sometimes you make your own Thor and your own Odin, and you rule Asgard with...
But they're slightly off model.
Yes, they're slightly off model, but you rule Asgard with your own ones of them. It's real easy because no one questions anything.
It's true. So, fearing what Loki's failure would mean for them, should Odin regain the throne, they determine to go to where the Allfather sleeps and deal with him once and for all. They throw around a couple ideas, actually. Crota suggests that if they free him, they may gain favor. But then he also immediately suggests that they could just kill him.
Maybe you should free him. And blame Loki. Like, literally.
The 3 are in agreement that this is their best plan, and so they head off. Presumably knowing where he is.
Hopefully.
While unbeknownst to them, the Warriors 3 watch from above, intent on stopping these shenanigans.
Here's hoping.
I believe in them. See, unlike detective work, this is more up their alley.
A stealth mission. I suspect one of them is going to be made to fail the stealth mission.
We'll see.
I guess it depends on what the group rules.
The fight has now reached the fabled Hall of Heroes, which I say with sarcasm, but it has in fact come up before by name. This is a hall in the palace which has lots of giant statues of past warriors. It's kind of exactly what it sounds like. While fighting through this room, Thor manages to lure the destroyer over next to one of the giant statues, and at the exact right moment, he strikes the base with his hammer, sending the entire thing crumbling down on top of the armored menace.
That should slow it down for a second or two.
Yeah. It's all about slowing it down, really. He knows that he can't beat it, so it's all about buying time.
It'd be a neat trick if he could.
Yeah. Without giving it a moment's reprieve, he tosses Mjolnir at it to keep up the pressure. He also decides now is a good time to remind us of his history with the Destroyer, beginning with the random hunter who first uncovered it in... I don't actually remember. It was somewhere weird, like South America or Vietnam or something. Whatever, it was some random poacher, basically. Then the next time it appeared, it was animated by Sif, then by the Professor Clement Holmes, and then even by Loki themselves. Thor doesn't think it likely that Loki is the one propelling it now. He says this is because they would not be able to resist talking while in the Destroyer.
I mean, that's, you know?
I guess that's fair, but usually the people who are powering the Destroyer can't do that anyway.
That's true.
And I think a more pertinent issue is that Loki would not have been able to project that message earlier.
That's also true.
Regardless.
It seems like once you get in the Destroyer, well, you're not really piloting the Destroyer.
You're not piloting, you're powering.
Yeah, you're the fuel source.
Yes.
Not the pilot.
Yes. Regardless, once again, this monologue is concluded by saying that knowing who is inside of the armor doesn't matter. So it doesn't feel like there was any point in reminding us of this.
I don't know. My money's on, I don't know, Odin. Odin's in the Destroyer. Somehow.
That would be interesting. The Odinson leaps upon his opponent, but is repelled by an energy blast from its steely mitt. It then tosses him into a nearby fountain, as apparently they have broken into the Palace Royal's magnificent indoor gardens.
Huh.
I guess this is a thing that they have, and apparently it has a huge water feature.
Sure.
We're not going to get any good establishing shots of this environment.
Of course not. We don't have time for that.
The Destroyer then enters the water and tries to drown the Thunder God. And once again, we are playing fast and loose with Asgardian physiology because it seems like this is working, despite the fact that only a couple issues ago they were able to survive in space. So do they need to breathe or not?
I think if they don't think they're choking, they're fine.
It's all about belief.
Yes. If he feels like he's being choked, then no, he can't breathe. What is space?
Oh god, that's hilarious.
Asgardians have no idea what space is. It means nothing to them.
I know nothing about Warhammer 40k, but isn't that how orcs work?
Yes.
Okay.
Orcs
Great.
paint their ships red because they think it makes their ships hit harder. In fact, they're all mildly psychic, and their mild psychic powers give them power to do things that they wouldn't be able to do individually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, basically, orcs run on the power of belief.
Cool. Love that.
Mild psychic hive mind that they aren't aware of.
Right. At this very convenient moment, Sif, Carnella, and the Recorder arrive. Sif rushes forward to deliver a blow to the monster, which doesn't do much against its armor, but does cause it to drop her lover. Then, once it no longer has anyone in its grasp, Carnella is able to weave a sorceress attack, shooting a dazzling beam of magical energy at the massive metal monstrosity. This is working a lot better than any of the physical attacks that anyone had tried previously.
Okay.
But, well, it kind of makes sense. Magic would work better.
Yeah.
Because it's, created by and propelled by magic, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas hitting it seems dumb because it's made of metal.
And it's also designed to be hit.
Yes. But in the middle of the assault, the Norn Queen is afflicted with knowledge that causes her to cry out and break off her attack. Now no longer held at bay, the Destroyer turns back to Thor to attack once again. Sif begs Carnilla to resume her assault, but the sorceress absolutely refuses to. Safely ensconced in wherever the fuck they are, Loki boasts that it seems she has figured them out. In fact, this was all to plan, as they knew that she was the only one who could oppose the Destroyer, and so they engineered a situation in which she would not be able to do so. Because, as it turns out, the soul that is propelling the Destroyer is none other than... Balder the Brave!
Dun dun dun.
So, what do you think of this issue?
It's an issue. It's an issue of all time.
Are you happy to come back to Thor?
It sure is a thing that happened.
Mm-hmm. What would you rate it? Not in context of the X-Men that we've been reading, just
that's
on its own.
That's a challenge.
I know it's very hard for you to do that.
So this is an incredibly Silver Age storyline.
Yes.
In 1977.
Yes.
The Silver Age is...
Dead and gone.
Yeah. The Silver Age is dead now.
Yeah.
And yet they're still writing like it's the mid-60s.
Thor has been extremely consistent in this.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason why I got so burnt out on it.
No, I get that. I understand. They got stuck with writers who didn't have a clue what to do with it beyond what had already been done.
Yeah.
And what? Walt Simonson is the one who figured out how to move it out of the 60s?
Yeah. Basically. Well, there's some stuff that happens before that, but Walt is definitely the one who made Thor good.
He's the one who figured out how to keep Thor out of the Silver Age.
Yes.
And give him a path forward into the modern era.
I would give this issue a 3. It is a comic.
I guess.
It's very mid.
Yeah, I guess I'll give it that.
There's not much to really be excited about, but there's not much to really be super angry about either. It's just kind of
I mean, my vibes were right. Someone Thor cares about is fueling the Destroyer.
Well, yeah, obviously. It would be wild if it was Odin. I don't even think that's possible.
But hey, the Destroyer's Calvin Ball.
That would be an interesting thing to explore. But no, they've been... Ever since its introduction, they've been extremely consistent about how the Destroyer works.
Yeah, but the Destroyer works with a soul.
Yeah.
But beyond that...
I mean, its powers and everything haven't been super consistent.
Yeah.
But, the basic function of it has been shockingly consistent when nothing else is.
Okay. In the world of modern Marvel, no, this thing isn't consistent at all. In the world of Thor of this era, yeah, this is one of the most consistent things to ever happen at all in Thor.
See, the inconsistencies you're thinking of are coming in more modern comics. That makes sense.
I'm thinking of the way more modern Marvel would handle consistency, because I'm used to more modern Marvel. To Marvel from the aughts onward. The kind of inconsistencies we run into are all over the place, like design and its powers are question mark.
Shrug. They're whatever feels right in the moment.
Yes. But hey, it's not like Thor doesn't have all of that. Well, hey Thor, why don't you just go back in time? You have that ability.
Always a pertinent question. Every time anything happens with Thor, why don't you just travel through time?
You can just do that, Thor. You just have the option to go back in time.
He can also move as fast as light.
Yes. The Destroyer can't
travel
move.
Through time.
The Destroyer can't move at the speed of light, but Thor can. Why doesn't he do that? What are you going to do? Like, look. So... Now, I'm going to break out Dragon Ball, because I have to, because I have a useful comparison.
Okay.
Power scaling issues.
Yes.
Goku is like the king of power scaling creep.
Yeah.
But when he's fighting the big bad Frieza, they cut to a point where they say, actually, no, he's already using literally every ounce of power he's ever learned. Everything he can do is being used against him. And this is this is something that they do, they talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Because for all the inconsistency that manga has, they need to address certain concerns.
Yeah.
Whereas Thor is just here with time travel and speed of light and, oh yeah, some weird energy radiation.
His free-flowing electrons.
Yes, his free-flowing electrons. And these are just things. And sometimes, oh yeah, that's a thing, I forgot. We're going to use that.
He just has so much going on. Sometimes he forgets.
That's fair.
I do like when they do the opposite of that, though. Every now and then, they'll have Thor be like, oh, usually when he fights people, he's holding back so he doesn't hurt them too bad.
But like, I feel like...
But then you also have times like this where it's like, okay, but if he's fighting this...
He's fighting literally the Destroyer.
This machine that he has no reason to hold back against.
Like, what happens if you beat the Destroyer? What happens? What's the worst thing that happens?
There is some kind of vague idea that you might hurt the person who is powering it, but I don't think that's ever explained.
And also, Thor has made it clear he doesn't care who's in it.
I don't
right
think
now.
That's what he said.
Well, okay, then it doesn't matter who's in it.
Well, it doesn't matter who's in it unless he can find that person.
And if he can't, then
all they can do is fight it. Until they get Odin woken up, because Odin can take the person out of it.
Well, good luck, Odin.
Yeah. I mean, Odin doesn't need luck, he just can do that.
I know, but good luck finding him.
Right, good luck everybody else. So, John, what do you think that was rated on CMRO?
Ah, boy, 2.5?
Just a flat 2? 3.47.
Damn. It's the Walt effect, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
Just because Walt's here, even though he's not really driving the creative process.
Yeah. Everybody loves Walt.
And the fact is, this kind of storyline isn't really the best use for his style.
Well, no.
No, you need actual proper fantastical things for him to shine.
Mm-hmm.
We've already seen just enough Walt to know that's where he's good.
Yeah.
You give him something a fantastical concept, and he'll give you something gold. You give him the Destroyer, and
let's go ahead on to Thor number 266 from September of 1977. Written by Len Wein, penciled by Walt Simonson, inked by Tony DeZuniga, colored by Glynis Wein, lettered by Joe Rosen, and the cover is also by Walt.
Walt does have quite the skill.
He does. Our first 2 pages here are literally just a very long-winded recap of the last issue. The art is pretty good, but there's no new information being given, so I don't feel the need to dwell on it.
Well, no.
However, in this last panel, we do get a glimpse of Thor's thought process. As the Thunder God continues to be pummeled by the Destroyer, he asks himself why Sif, Carnilla, and the Recorder stand nearby but don't help. Which,
because the Recorder's getting views.
I guess when you're getting punched in the face, it's easy to ask that, but Sif did help. And of course, as always, he told her it was too dangerous.
You do that, Thor. You
constantly.
Always tell... Look, you keep on negging Sif.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you neg Sif. Stop negging Sif.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If she did help more, he would definitely give her a speech that it's too dangerous. And also, he wants to fight it by himself because he always does that. Carnilla also helped, but there's other shit going on with her. So I don't think this is a very in-character thing for him to say, nor is it particularly charitable.
No.
Speaking of which, Carnilla apologizes for not being able to help, while Sif berates her. She insists that she won't do anything, but fails to explain why, which I feel like would probably help. Sif also asks the Recorder if he could help, to which he responds that he doesn't have the ability or the strength to do that, and it's all he can do to project a shield around himself to protect his circuits.
Ah, so really all he can do is watch.
Yeah, convenient. absolutely positive that he has done way more than that before, but whatever.
Yeah, he's fought with them.
Yeah, he has.
He's absolutely fought with them. Come on!
The Norn Queen asks Sif to be understanding of her position, which I remind you she has not explained.
How can you understand a position? Oh.
To which the goddess responds that Carnilla is the one who does not understand because she is incapable of feeling love. Very cool, Sif. That's definitely going to convince her to help you.
Damn it.
You just hate to see them pit two bad bitches against each other.
It's not even well written.
It's not.
They're pitting them against each other and it's not even well written.
Of course, the Norn Queen, being the bad bitch that she is not going to sit around and take that. So she gives a dramatic speech before disappearing in a burst of flame.
Sure.
Back on the battlefield, the destroyer approaches the downed Odinson with its hands glowing red hot. It takes a swipe at him, but he dodges out of the way just in time to avoid real harm, instead losing the tattered remnants of his cape.
I wonder how many capes he's gone through over the years.
Oh, God only knows.
Well, let's
ask. He has a closet full of them, I bet.
Let's ask Taylor.
Loki notes with some annoyance Thor's endurance. If he were any less strong, he would have died already.
Yeah, that's why you need the destroyer, isn't it?
Yes, but, even he can't stand against the destroyer forever. Their thought process is cut off by a challenge from off-screen. Carnilla has appeared, and she has figured out the plot. She is absolutely furious and ready to exact her vengeance.
That's fair. But, you
don't fuck with Carnilla's man.
But Carnilla, you could have told Sif what was up.
Yes, she could have.
And then you would have backup.
Yeah.
Because Sif wouldn't have stood for it.
Yeah. Down below the palace, in the dark catacombs, Snakeheart is having second thoughts about this plan. Magret and Crota attempt to convince him that killing Odin in his sleep is their only good option.
Oh, no, come on. You could blame this all on Loki and get rewarded for saving him.
They can't trust Loki, especially given how many times they have already failed. And if they fail again, these morons will be punished. So to ensure that doesn't happen, getting rid of Odin is their only choice.
But...
yeah, they really did. He floated that idea of them saving Odin and getting credit for it for, a second, and then immediately moved on to killing him.
But can't trust Loki, so we have to kill Odin.
Yeah.
But you still can't trust... you still have Loki, who you can't trust. What the hell, guys?
Great point.
That doesn't get rid of Loki.
Well, he's not Crota the intelligent.
Or wise, or all-knowing, or...
Right. Still, Snakeheart is not entirely convinced and feels that this is a mistake. Just then, he feels like he senses someone following them, and the group turns to look, but finds no one.
Gasp.
Announcing that it's just the Skulker's nerves getting to him, they continue on and eventually arrive at...
somewhere.
I don't even know what to call this.
Is the boiler room.
That's kind of what it looks like. They say that this is Odin's hidden cell, with a door created by trolls.
You mean a hole where they stashed
with some
the boiler?
Pipes. Seems to be some manner of convoluted mechanism, with lots of steaming pipes, to no discernible purpose.
It's a boiler room!
They get ready to open it, but just then, who should jump out and stop them but the Warriors 3?
Ooh.
I think they probably could have waited until the stupid door was open.
Yeah, probably.
But who am I to tell them how to do their job?
Look, it's not like the Warriors 3 are that much more intelligent than the guys they are taking out.
It's true. Of course, Fandral jumps in from somewhere and
somehow
knocks one of them over with his nuts, I guess.
I mean... God, look at that, though.
I'm very unclear on the motion in this panel. I mean, it's very well...
I don't care about the motion in this panel, to be perfectly
It's well
honest.
rendered. So whatever the logistics of that move are...
Look, if anyone could kill someone with their nuts...
it would be Fandral.
Yes! Yes, it would be. If anyone, to the sheer power of thrusting...
Oh my god.
Could take out enemies.
So our lads set upon the dastardly trio with wild abandon. Snake R seeks to skulk away, but is stopped by Hogan's mace directly to his schnoz.
Which it looks more like Hogan just let him run into the thing.
Kind of clotheslined him. Magrat summons a cloud of fog to deter Volstagg, but it just causes the Lion of Asgard to give a mighty sneeze, sending the schemer flying.
Good job! That's dangerous. Do not be in the way of him when he sneezes.
He's got that dad sneeze.
True.
Meanwhile, Fandral and Crota duel, of course. Both being swordsmen, they have an extremely flashy battle that lasts for all of 3 panels before the bad guy is defeated.
Wah, wah.
With those 3 downed, the Warrior 3 turn their attention to the door ?
The utility room with all the steam in it.
Yeah. They don't seem to know how to open it, and again, I feel like it would have been helpful to just wait a minute.
As I said,
whatever.
These guys are not that much smarter than the people they just took out.
Yeah, they're not. And, but they are more fun about it.
They are, but they're not actually that bright.
Rather than trying to operate this mechanism, they decide to just break it. So Volstagg climbs on top of a large tube, and the other 2 push from the side, and eventually with their combined might, they manage to destroy the series of pipes.
The series of tubes.
Yeah.
They have destroyed the internet.
The Asgardian internet.
Yes, because the Asgardian internet really is just a series of tubes.
It produces a cloud of steam as the whole thing collapses, and I really cannot emphasize enough that I have no idea what this contraption was supposed to do.
Boil water?
It really does seem like it's just a boiler.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I think this really is just
looks like a boiler.
I think this is the Asgardian water boiler room.
The Warriors 3 proceed through the steam to their destination, and the weird door, quote unquote, will never be seen or heard from again.
Well, it wasn't seen in the first place, so...
Yeah, we mean...
Where was the door? What? You point to a frame where you can say, there was a door.
I can't. Returning to the main event, Thor is on the run from the Destroyer, harnessing the savage power of beams.
Oh no, beams.
He says that these beams are made of K-Zippa particles.
Whatever that means.
Whose annihilating touch neither man nor God can long endure.
Sure.
I don't know what these are. I don't think that we're meant to know, because they've never been mentioned before. The Destroyer has beams, but it's never been named as anything other than just generic energy beams, as far as I recall.
Well, now they got a name.
K-Zippa beams.
K-Zippa beams.
We're all gonna remember that, for sure.
The fabled K-Zippa particles.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure they are. Sure it is, Thor.
Sherlin.
Sure.
Sherlin.
Sherlin. You got it, buddy. Everybody's gonna remember that.
Yeah.
The God of Thunder seeks to escape this onslaught by diving back into the fountain. He swims furiously until he arrives somewhere else, I guess? I'm not entirely clear on where he is, but he surfaces and does not see his foe, so he is able to catch his breath for a moment.
Yay!
Or at least he thinks he can. But then, the Destroyer reaches a hand down to electrify the water.
He can do that.
Sure.
Okay.
And in response to this, Thor grabs a basin of boiling water and tips it over on the armored weapon. Again, I have no idea where they are, I have no context, and no frame of reference for this fountain or this tub of hot water.
You know what? I don't think Walt had any,
I don't think he had any direction
for
this environment.
Yes, I think he had absolutely no direction for this environment, and he just had to...
He had to do his best.
Yes, I do not blame Walt for the very weird panels here. I think Lynn just gave him Jack and shit, and Jack left town.
Yeah, basically. So the rush of hot water does stop the Destroyer for a moment, but it doesn't really do any damage. At that exact moment somewhere else, though, Loki and Karnilla are engaging in a magical battle over the fate of Balder the Brave. Loki summons a Circle of Oblivion.
Whatever that is.
Which it's a spell, I guess. It can destroy her, but her power is equal to theirs so she can hold him off easily. She briefly considers what might happen if she fails. I don't know why. But if she did, it would leave Balder up to Loki's mercy.
What mercy?
Right, exactly. But of course, she is strong-willed and will not let that happen. With one final push, she sunders the circle of oblivion and disappears along with the inert body of her love.
Huh.
She disappears across the castle in front of Thor, commanding him to step aside so that she can end the battle. He is all too happy to do so, having been beaten and battered for the past however long.
That's fair.
But as he turns his attention away for the briefest of moments, the destroyer hits him with one powerful punch, sending him to the ground. Seeing this dire situation, Karnilla prepares to cast the spell which will return Baldur's spirit to his body, working quickly to prevent it from killing Thor. However, before she is able to do this, Loki appears behind her and attacks.
Karnilla, you should have just started on that. Did you really need to ask?
Yeah.
What? Did you think Thor was having fun?
Maybe. You never know with him. Sometimes he does have a fucking speech where he's like, nobody help me, I gotta do this by myself.
And he's missing 3 teeth.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure how Loki attacks her. They never show it or explain, but I'm just gonna say that they stabbed her, because I think that's fun.
Look, we don't even know how Loki got there.
They teleported.
That's the obvious guess. But does it say?
No.
See? It doesn't even say. Lynn,
give Walt anything.
Anything.
Despite this drama, the destroyer holds in its motion to finish the noble god of thunder. It looks up toward Loki across the corridor and seems to acknowledge them.
Uh-oh.
Slowly it begins to move toward the trickster, malice emanating from its featureless face.
Uh-oh.
Loki is in disbelief. Yeah, uh-oh, is what Loki says. They are in disbelief, proclaiming that Baldur's soul within the armor is able to exert some control, causing the creature to attack them.
I mean, how hard is it to change targets? This thing destroys, and there ain't much left of Thor anymore, so...
Exactly. Thor's pretty well destroyed.
Yeah. Thor, job done. Hey, look, there's this other god who has power. Yeah. Lots of power, even. Yeah.
They defend themselves magically, returning Baldur's spirit to his body, and thus rendering the weapon lifeless once more.
Wow.
Because that's just a spell that magic people can do.
Apparently.
Yeah. I mean, Karnilla was also about to do that, so...
Yeah, so... Yeah. Job done?
Job jobbed. It's a reference for all you Dead Boy Detective fans out there.
I don't know the reference.
Yeah. It's a good show. Netflix, of course, immediately killed it.
Of course. They do that. They love that. They do that.
Netflix loves to cancel shows that people love.
Do. Never trust Netflix.
No. Thor regains consciousness just in time to see this happen, and though he's not in a very good state, he still has the determination to make use of this opening. Without the Destroyer to protect them, there's nothing to stop him from giving Loki the wet willy of the century. Loki rebuts this, declaring that all they have to do is get to the Destroyer and then they will pilot it. Which it would be a good plan if you didn't announce it, because now Thor is going to do everything he can to stop you from doing that.
Yes. And even destroyed, Thor is probably still stronger than Loki.
Yeah. Physically, anyway.
Yes.
The Odinson launches his body into the path of his sibling, using the last bit of his strength to halt the evil Loki for just a second longer.
How much can the evil Loki bench?
There's a concrete answer to that.
Why is there a concrete answer to that?
Because Marvel releases these books where they assign stats to all their characters.
Oh no, they have power levels.
They do. It's on a scale of 1 to 6.
Why?
Because they're terrible.
To 6? Yeah. That's not... There's 2... Sentry exists in this universe. Yeah. How can you go to 6?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have that information off the top of my head, but it does exist.
Doom was literally a god of a universe once. How can you only go to 6?
So the two tussle together, both hands reaching toward the armored behemoth. And then in a blinding flash of light, the destroyer rises while Thor falls. The scion of Asgard pilots the armor, moving towards Loki with clear intentions. Loki is pretty unhappy with this turn of events, and this clearly did not go to plan.
Hey, Loki, why don't you just take the soul of Thor out of the armor? You did it to Balder. You just did it a couple pages ago.
Just do it again!
Just do it again. You can just do it again, Loki. It's real easy. All magic users just seem to know it.
It's not a complex spell. They just did it.
We saw Carnilla doing it. Loki actually pulled it off.
Just do it.
You don't need to attack the destroyer. You can just take the soul out. You're actually Loki.
But if they did that, then Thor could just get back in the destroyer, and then they would just be caught in a loop.
And so what? So what? It's better than letting
stalemate.
It's better than letting Thor do whatever as the destroyer.
Yeah.
Because then maybe Loki can do something to Thor while Thor is Thor.
So now that the armor is reanimated, its sights will be immediately set upon the first person available, who happens to be the trickster god.
Is that how this works?
Yes. Loki.
Okay.
Loki reacts by summoning all of their arcane power into a spell to incinerate the destroyer.
Good luck with that.
I put in my notes, I don't know why they couldn't just use the spell that they used a minute ago to take the soul out of it.
Yeah, that's...
Who the fuck knows? Len doesn't know.
No, Lynn doesn't know.
Undeterred, the destroyer advances and swats Loki, ending their spell.
Yeah.
It throws them across the room and then begins to lower its visor, preparing its ultimate and strongest attack.
Uh-huh.
Loki laments this turn of events, feeling that their doom is certain. But just then a voice from off-screen draws our attention. Papa is back, baby!
Yeah!
He's awake, he has a new fit, he is feeling fresh and ready to bring us a good old-fashioned Deus Ex Odin.
We haven't had one of these in so long.
We haven't been reading Thor in so long.
Yes, but even in Thor, this hasn't...
It's been a minute, yeah.
These used to happen like every third issue.
Yeah.
And then it stopped, and then Lynn started writing.
Yeah. It's really no wonder that he rarely sleeps, because the man can't take a nap without his kids literally trying to kill each other.
That's true.
The All-Father commands all present to take a knee before him, including Thor, who is piloting the destroyer. Loki disputes this, saying that nothing can stop him, but Odin uses his power and his control over the artifact to easily cause it to kneel.
It's Odin's.
Yes, he made it. It seems that Thor's spirit indeed comes to bear over the armor, as it addresses his father with subservience. Odin then uses his power to return Thor's soul to his body.
Loki could have done 5 minutes ago.
And the grateful son embraces his father. Odin is actually pretty sweet here. He picks Thor up and says that he's proud of him.
And this is the last time he's going to be proud of you for the next 10 years.
At least.
And this is the first time he's been proud of you for the last 15.
Thor asks if this means that his friends succeeded on their quest. The Allfather commends the Warriors 3 for their courage and tenacity, as pretty much as soon as they got through that weird door thing, they found Odin just kind of asleep in a room. That quote-unquote door. That boiler room.
Yes.
Apparently there was some kind of fumes in the cave, which it doesn't really say
that we never
what
talked about before.
It just says that they were overcame by them for a time, and it happened off-screen. So it feels like mentioning this was kind of pointless.
Did you need another issue to tell this story, Lynn?
No.
No, definitely not. Giving it another issue would not make it better.
You're right.
An issue of Thor getting punched around by the Destroyer?
Yeah, and nothing else happening. But they were able to rescue Odin and bring him back to the surface, where he woke up, and now he's back and everything's fine again. Woohoo! Everybody cheers!
Yay!
Woo! What do you think of this issue?
It happened.
It is a comic.
How long does Lynn write this stuff? I just want to know how far the Silver Age... I'm not asking for the agony of Lynn. I just want to know how long the Silver Age was able to claw its way out from the grave.
Well, that I can't tell you without reading ahead.
Well, I can guarantee you Lynn is not going to learn any new tricks.
Lynn's last issue is 271.
And this was...
266.
Damn. So that's not 1980 then.
No. No, not quite.
It would be really impressive if he kept on writing into 1980.
No.
Just because he's like pure Silver Age schlock.
Yeah.
And the Silver Age lasting into 1980 would be ridiculous.
As Ripley has mentioned, Len was kind of Stan's protege, so...
Makes sense.
Roy was Stan's protege. Len was something, though.
Len was something.
Okay.
Len was something.
Len was something. So, I would give this issue a 2.
You know what?
It wasn't...
It's got a massive logical... what the fuck in the middle of it.
Yeah.
That I don't know how you write. Like, I don't know how you write that without knowing that the reader is going to ask, why doesn't the character just do the thing they did 2 seconds ago?
Yeah.
That that another character only didn't get to do because they got knocked out or stabbed or something.
Whatever happened to her.
Because we don't get told what happened to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2.
2. What do you think it's rated on CMRO?
3.5 just because of the penciler?
Yeah, 3.59.
Yeah. It's got some pretty panels.
Yeah. Not all of them, but...
Not all of them, but
some of them.
like some of the... Like, that's actually not a bad panel.
This one's really good. I like that one a lot.
Aw.
It's cute.
But, I mean, seeing the Destroyer kneel is also not a bad panel.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty cool.
Like, that's not... Although, I'm not saying I really want to see Odin from this angle very often.
He has a very wide...
Yes.
He has a huge thigh gap.
That thigh gap...
His legs are bowed.
That thigh gap is impossible.
Enormous. Oh, God. So, John.
Yeah?
How did you enjoy our return to Thor today?
It was a return to form.
Yeah.
Oh, Len, there's so many of your stories we could probably just skip and we wouldn't miss much, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a lot.
we would not complain if we just skipped a chunk of Len. Would we even notice as far as, like, plot lines? Because I don't feel like this introduced anything that really...
If we skipped the rest of Len, I don't think so. But there are a couple important things that Len introduced.
I don't doubt that. But I feel like he's shot his shot, and everything he's going to do from here on out is not going to be new for him or for Thor.
Or for anyone ever.
Yeah.
Look at this panel where Thor's on the ground. That's really good.
The use of color to imply something.
Shadow.
Is this meant to imply blood?
I don't know. I like it though. Anyway, yeah, that's what I got. So...
Like and subscribe?
Well, Ripley will be back next time. Presumably, unless they get sick again.
Don't get sick again.
They will try not to. Thanks for listening. I hope you all enjoyed our special
struggle
Thor
through
episode.
Thor.
I didn't struggle. I enjoyed it immensely because I have taken a long break. I don't know if I'm going to continue with more Thor in the next episode, though. I guess we'll see.
What would you do instead?
Not anything.
Okay.
What I've been doing. I'm not sure. What I'm saying is I'm not sure if I'm ready to fully come back to doing Thor yet. But, because Ripley's sick, filling in on this episode was not that hard.
Mm-hmm.
But, doing it sustainably, I'm not sure if I'm there yet.
That's fair.
So, I don't know. We'll see. But Ripley will be here, and we will be reading X-Men. So, in the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit the bell button, leave a comment.
Complain?
Complain to who?
Us.
About what? Thor?
Sure.
We didn't write it.
Yes, but that's engagement.
Okay, that's fair.
It doesn't matter.
Any engagement is good engagement.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if we didn't write it. Complain to us about how much you hate Lin Wein's run of Thor.
Yeah.
And how we're to blame somehow.
And we will agree with you. You can find us on social media. We are on Tumblr,
the site formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, Blue Sky, Facebook, Comicsplaining, all of those places.
At least in theory on Blue Sky.
In theory, all of those things.
Though...
We really don't post a lot, but we are there.
And in theory, we should fix up our Blue Sky, since that seems to be turning into a thing these days.
It does, yes.
It's got vibes.
Also, you can send us an email, comicsplaining@gmail.com. If you would like to support the show, you can send us some money on Ko-fi.
We like money.
We do like money. We have yet to receive money, but we do like it. If you would like to make us happy, you can send us money. But if not, that's fine. Share us with a friend. And
share us with an enemy.
Yeah, share us with
a stranger.
A tutor. A stranger?
Share us with your congressman before you turn him to goo.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Wait, if you
use
share
our show to turn your congressman into goo.
Hold on, if you share it with your congressman before turning them into goo, will they be able to tell anybody?
Depends on what kind of goo.
Oh, that's true. But if the goo doesn't live afterwards...
Well, then no.
See, the only problem is...
Yeah. I
don't think the dead goo congressman needs to know about comicsplaining.
He's a senator.
Senator.
In the movie.
Wait, is he anymore? I mean,
he was.
Yes, was is the proper... He is in the past tense.
Alright, let's wrap it up. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.